I'll start with introductions. We'll kick this thing off. My name is Brandy Reed, and I'm the program coordinator for the Small Business Development Center. And we want to welcome you to Lunch Club today. We're so glad that you've joined us. And our guest speaker is Lisa Ricketson, and she's going to share with us the art of de-escalation in small business. So it's always nice to have some tools in case you have to handle a difficult person. So we're glad to share this with you today and empower you in your business. First of all, in case you're not familiar with how small business development centers operate, we are located all over the country. We provide no-cost consulting for small business owners from startup to managing their business and even preparing for the future to either sell their business or pass it on to the next generation. We are unique in the state of Texas because Texas is so geographically large. We have 4 state offices. So our region is the Northwest Texas SBDC network, and we have 6 centers in our network, and the Amarillo Center is one of those. Then Lubbock, Midland, Wichita Falls, Abilene, and Stephenville are in our network. So we serve 95 counties in the northwest quadrant of the state of Texas, and we are here for you through all stages of your business. The way it works with us is you just reach out to us and we'll send you some information to set up an appointment with one of our consultants, and then you meet with them and they help you progress through your project, whatever you have. So we do a lot of business plans and help people secure financing to start their businesses or grow. So I'd like to introduce Lisa to all of you today. We're so glad to have her. Lisa was born and raised in the Texas Panhandle and continues to call this area home. She graduated from WTAMU with a bachelor's in psychology in 2007 and a master's in mental health counseling in 2016. She's been a licensed professional counselor for 8 years and has worked in corrections with adolescents and adults of all ages. She specializes in work on shame, anxiety, boundaries, burnout, and women's issues. She is a dialectical behavior therapy certified and also has been trained in flash technique and has an extensive background in training and personality disorders. So I'll be happy to turn it over to you, Lisa, and we'll get this started.
Thank you. I want to apologize to everybody for how I sound right now. This is much better than it was earlier this week. I've been sick, so I'm sorry if I sound like a boy going through puberty at sometimes. I wanted to talk to y'all a little bit about something called SET technique. It's SET, so it's support, empathy, truth, and it's actually out of a book by Gerald Kreisman. It's this one right here, talking to your loved one with borderline personality disorder. Excuse me. But it does work for just everybody. So first of all, I want to talk a little bit about conflict. So there's going to be 2 different types of conflict that are going to happen in any type of relationship. And that's going to be bad conflict and good conflict. And I know good conflict sounds kind of weird because we don't associate the word conflict with, really anything good. So bad conflict is going to be what happens when someone else pushes one of our buttons. That can be a family member, a friend. If you are working in a business and you're a manager, or if you're just working with the general public, your buttons can be pushed at any time. So whenever one of our buttons gets pushed, that in turn is going to lead us to react in a certain way. So it's going to trigger our fight or flight responses that we have. So after that happens, then our reaction is going to end up pushing the other person's buttons, and then the cycle is just going to continue. So with bad conflict, this is going to be a circular process. So with a circle, there's no beginning or no end. It just keeps going. So the outcome of this is going to be that Our problems are never going to get solved. The warmth in the relationships are going to diminish. We may start to alienate others in our relationships, and it's also going to bring out the worst in all of us in this. So, on the other side, we have good conflict, and that's going to be whenever a problem comes up, we're going to use our best problem solving skills in order to go at the problem. So the problem is going to get resolved when we use good conflict, and this is going to be a linear process. So that means there's a start point and there's an end point. You're not having the same argument over the same thing over and over and over. So the outcome of good conflict is going to be that our problems are going to get solved. There's warmth in our relationships. We feel closer in our relationships, and this is also going to bring out the best of everybody involved. So, what is SET? You've heard me talk about this a little bit, and it means support, empathy, truth. So, to use this technique, we're going to first say something supportive of the person and the situation, and then something empathetic of the person and the situation, and then we're going to say something truthful about the situation. But we're going to say something truthful nicely, because if we just are rude about it, that's not going to do anything. That means that our buttons are pushed and we're in a bad conflict cycle. So the S is going to be support. So this is going to be an I statement that's going to show concern and commitment. This is going to show the other person that, I'm so sorry, you guys, that we're concerned with what's going on and that we do want to help with the problem at hand. This is going to be a self-statement of support. I'm so sorry. And then the E is going to be empathy. So this is going to communicate empathy to the other people that are involved. This is going to be a you statement that shows, I'm so sorry, that shows recognition of the feelings of the other person involved in the conversation. And then this is going to emphasize the other person's experience. It's not about us. Give me just 1 second, please. Sorry. So the next one is going to be T, and that's for truth. So this is going to emphasize that while other people may contribute to the situation, the person needs to be aware of their participation in the issue. So this is going to focus on a realistic estimation of the situation that's going on. This is the most challenging because it does confront the other person's attempts to avoid the situation, and it demands that the problem solving be used. So a lot of times we don't use that when we go into something. This is where individual responsibility is going to be emphasized without assigning blame or feelings of helplessness. So, what SET isn't? So, support is not going to be used to identify with the other person. So, statements like, oh, yeah, one time when I went to, whatever place, that happened to me too. This is not going to be helpful, and it's going to eventually be dismissed by the other person because they're not going to think that you're listening or validating them. So we want to remember to use I statements this way because it's going to show that our concern and commitment are there to help the other person. Don't get empathy confused with sympathy. It's not the same thing. Sympathy is when we feel sorry for others, and this can also kind of seem condescending at times. So don't tell somebody, I know exactly how you feel in this situation, because we may not. And this is going to make the other person angry. We want to remember that this is a you statement, just letting the other person know that you're acknowledging their experience. So things like, well, bless your heart, or I feel so sorry for you, are going to be things that we want to avoid. And truth is not an in your face, hard confrontation. It's also not tough love. Truth is not used as a way to invalidate the other person. So a lot of times we've heard this saying, well, when you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. That's not what truth is. So, does set always work? It may not always work the first time, and we may have to rephrase our set response and then try again. If the person is really defensive and responds that way to your set response, then that's because there's a part of your response that they're not hearing. You can try and reinforce the communication wherever the breakdown is. And when the empathy portion is not clearly expressed or accepted, you may get an angry response or some kind of accusation from the other person. When the truth portion is not clearly expressed or understood, then issues are reinforced and responsibility is going to be denied. So the longer the truth portion is avoided or misunderstood, the worse this is going to get. So if we want to practice for just a second. So here's an example. You have a small business and you're the owner, and you sent out an order, and the customer calls saying that it was broken in transit and wants a replacement item sent to them. So the customer is very irate because this was a birthday gift and it has to be there in like 2 days. So your set response, you would say something supportive first. So something like, I want to try and help resolve this matter as easily as possible. Your empathy statement would be, this broken item must be terribly inconvenient for you, especially since this was ordered as a gift. And the truth would be, another item will be sent to you free of charge with expedited shipping. Again, our apologies for the inconvenience, and please let us know if there is anything else that we can do. Does anybody have any questions about this so far?
We're getting, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm dealing with different technologies that I'm used to here. So we're getting a good comment in the chat. Justin said that he chat GPT'd this method to you presenting with a cold, and here was the response. Support said, thank you for powering through today despite not feeling your best. Your dedication is truly appreciated. Empathy, I can hear that you're battling a cold. That must be tough while presenting. Please take your time if you need a moment. And the truth, we're here to support you and understand that it's not easy to present when under the weather. If you need a short break or pause, feel free to let us know.
Look, you guys are a genius. There's nothing else I can say. You got it all down. I mean, you don't need me. My work is done here. But that was Brandy, that's the end of my presentation today.
Okay. That was good. I like the retail example that you gave. What about an example for someone who's in the service industry? So maybe like a CPA or somebody like that. What would be a good example for them?
I think that's something that, I mean, we could work on that together. If everybody wanted to, that might be more helpful than me just throwing stuff out there. So you want to say, first of all, something supportive of whatever situation is going on. I don't know what might happen. What's something that might happen with a CPA that somebody might be upset about that comes in?
Hey, Lacey, it's Gina. I actually had a client this morning that I was meeting with. And we realized that their CPA did not add a very significant asset to their balance sheet or tax returns. So they're a little bit upset.
Yeah, that would, I mean, I would be upset too if I went in to somebody. So, saying something supportive of the situation, I think maybe, like taking some ownership also of it. So, first of all, saying, because support is an I statement, right? So we have to show an I statement that shows concern and commitment to the other person. So what would be a good one? Let's see. Sorry, I'm having like a little bit of brain fog today too. I don't think I'm getting enough oxygen to my brain from having COVID. So make sure it's an I statement and make sure, that it's kind of a correct I statement. You don't want to say, well, I'm sorry that you feel that way, because that's not a good I statement. So, taking some responsibility, I think, for that would be a good thing. Like, I see why you would be upset about this. This was an oversight on my part. Let me look at this and let's go over this together to make sure that everything looks correct, and then I will do what is needed of me with the IRS to get this fixed for you, so that you're not inconvenienced further for my mistake.
I like that. I'll have to find out who the CPA was and I'll pass that along.
Use TurboTax. No. But I can't see the chat on here, so I can't see anybody else's question.
If someone wants to ask a question, I believe you can raise your hand and we'll unmute you, and then you can ask her a question. Are you seeing anybody, Gina?
Nope, but y'all are also free to, it should let you unmute yourselves, and you're welcome to do that too.
I think Cynthia has her hand up.
Go ahead, Cynthia. You can unmute yourself.
Okay, I was just going to say, I think a lot of the child care directors are on here today. And one of them just put in the chat, accepting and owning accountability for mistakes is a biggie for repairing most relationships in a thorough situation. I think that a lot of the directors are going to be working with maybe teachers that, maybe having conflicts. They may be working with, the parents, and they may be having a conflict. Maybe there's something going on at home, and so they're upset because of XYZ. Maybe, something with the job, they are having problems financially, and then, then they're going to be really picky about what's going on in the classrooms because, those things. So that might be something that they would maybe need help working on, like how to address that with a parent, or how to, help with that conflict with teachers.
I would really recommend everybody that's interested to get this book. You could get it on Amazon. And it's talking to a loved one with borderline personality disorder. Communication skills to manage intense emotions, set boundaries, and reduce conflict. So the stuff I put in the presentation today, it just barely scratches the surface of what this really is, because it gets really in depth. And so you can use this when people are really escalated and when there's a lot of high emotions, because this is supposed to, in essence, saying something supportive of somebody, saying something empathetic that's not condescending, and then saying something truthful. It's really just about validation. And a lot of times, when we're upset, that's what we want, is somebody to validate how we're feeling. So that goes a really long way, like telling people, I hear what you're saying. I'm listening to you, and I'm listening to hear you. I'm not just listening to respond to you. And that's what we do a lot of times, is we just listen to people to come up with our next response, not really completely hearing and validating what their concerns are.
I have a comment in the chat, and maybe the way to phrase it would be like, what language maybe could a teacher or a child care director use to reassure a parent that they've handled the situation that has caused concern, but you can't give details because of confidentiality? And it would work also, that would apply to staff as well, probably for everybody.
Yeah. So probably with the parent, I would tell them, I understand that you're really concerned about the situation that happened. And, as a parent, I would be concerned as well. And I think you're doing your best advocating for your child in this situation. But due to confidentiality reasons, I can't release any specific information, but I do want you to know that the situation has been handled to the best of our abilities. And if you have any other concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out and get a hold of me, and we can make a time for you to come in and we can sit down and talk this through.
That was good. I think sometimes we don't have the words. So I like this role play. Does anybody else have any other role play questions that they would want addressed?
It's really hard because when, the emotions are heightened, we get defensive really easily, because it goes back to that good and bad conflict with our buttons getting pushed. So we may have had a ton of stuff happen during the day, and just this one little comment from somebody may have just, set us over our limit, and we don't have any more resources for us to pull on. So just anything that anybody says may get some kind of emotional response where we just lash out towards other people. And so this helps a lot, calm us down, if we can remember to do this when we get elevated, and also calm other people down.
Yeah. I forgot the new mat.
Yeah.
And she's standing there.
I know it.
Patty, you're unmuted. Did you have a question?
I didn't. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay. No problem. I'll remute you. So Justin, he's played with ChatGPT again and ran the scenario and the child care and confidentiality one. So that was a good response there in the chat. And then Cynthia said, I think some people just want to be heard and they need to know that you heard what they said. Sometimes restating what they said can help. So that makes, I guess, them feel like that you heard what they said, not just that they made noise.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really important to, to listen to people, to actually hear them, like I said, and not just listen so that we can formulate some response in our head to say back to them to kind of appease them because it's making us uncomfortable.
What about on social media? So a lot of business owners will see or will have trolls show up on their social media feeds on their business, whether it's your stuff costs too much or whatever. What is a way that they can address that online, offline? How can we equip them to handle a situation like that?
I've seen a lot of those things on Facebook and social media where people are complaining, and I like how they just put this little blurb, to please send us a direct message so that we can correct this problem, because I think that's better than getting into that on a social media platform, because it can escalate really quickly, especially when other people can chime in and put their comments on it too. I think some things are just better done where it's a one-on-one conversation and not you and a bunch of other unknown people behind their keyboards.
Very true. All right. Well, we're going to be considerate of the fact that you don't feel 100% today. If anyone has any additional questions that they want to ask specific to conflict resolution in their business or something, if you'll email us and let us know, then we could pass that on to Lisa or maybe some other resources that we have. We'll be able to provide you with the link to the book that she's referring to, and yeah, be able to share that information with each one of you. We thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you enjoy your lunch and are safe today. Let's see. Oh, people are giving you clapping hands. So.
Oh, thanks. Probably because they're just like, yeah, she's done. I don't have to listen to her cough anymore.
No. No, thank you. That was very helpful. So we appreciate you being with us today, Lisa. Thank you very much. Gina, is there anything that you would like to add?
No, I really appreciate it, Lisa, and I love what Justin was doing with ChatGPT. I think if anyone ever finds themselves in a situation that's difficult and you expect conflict, you could even do that ahead of time if you need help kind of getting some suggested responses. So I think that's brilliant.
And this is good to practice before you need it, because it's always better to be proactive than reactive, because if we're reactive, then we get sucked into the bad conflict and we don't remember any of this. And then later we're like, oh, I could have said something different.
It always comes to you when you're standing in the shower. That's when those responses come to you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lisa. Go take some NyQuil and maybe you can get a nap between appointments today.
No, I don't know. I'll hide under my desk and take a nap.
That sounds good. Well, thank you all. We'll see you next time.